Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Shane, and today I wanted to film an entire video dedicated to the makeup brushes that I'm currently using. Now, some of them are high-end and some of them are drugstore, so there's kind of a good mix. I'm not going to be showing you all the makeup brushes that I own. I have a ton of them, but a lot of them are really similar to each other. So to be honest, I kind of need to go through my collection and get rid of some stuff I don't use. But the makeup brushes that I'm going to show you today, I pretty much use on a daily basis. I'm making this video in hopes that if you're new to makeup or you're kind of, new to the bandwagon of using more than one makeup brush, then I hope this video would be of some help and to show you some of the brushes that I use and what I think would be helpful. So if you're interested in seeing what makeup brushes I have to show you, then please keep watching. Okay, so I think I am going to start with the one thing that is actually not technically a makeup brush, but it is a makeup application. All of y'all know what this is by now, but it is a beauty blender and it's dirty because I literally just use it to do my makeup. I had to include it though because I truly feel if that you're gonna get into makeup and you want like a really nice application of your foundation, I have yet to find a brush that compares to this. I truly think this is one of the best beauty products that is out there on the market. And yes, it is pricey for a makeup sponge. It's $20 for this little guy, but I mean, how often do you really have to replace it? I've had mine for quite a while and I do wash it. I try to wash it at least once a week and mine is still holding up pretty well. I do have two of them only because I thought I lost one, so I went out and bought another one. I have a pink one. This one is actually a red one. I personally like the original pink ones the best. I mean, I don't know about like the black one that you can get at like a pro store, but for any Sephora that you can walk into or any Ulta, or actually I lied, I'm sorry. I think the beauty blender is like a Sephora exclusive type of thing. My bad on that Ulta slip. But I truly think it's an amazing sponge, but I feel like the pink ones just work better. I don't know. I've tried the red one. I've tried those little green ones, like the little mini ones, which are fantastic at getting like concealer parts, but I just feel like the pink one is just overall better. So that is my first makeup brush. I promise the rest of these are all legitimately makeup brushes. So I think I'm actually going to categorize these and I'm going to split them into two quick piles, just a drugstore pile and then just a high-end pile, and we'll go through them that way. The good thing is 90% of these are drugstore brushes. Okay, so I think, I don't know, I guess I'll just pull one up and start talking about it. So we'll talk about this one. This is my contour brush. Now, I do want to look more into some more contour brushes because literally this is the only angled powder brush I have. It's just a perfect shape for contour and that's why I use it for contour. You can actually see some of the powder that I used earlier today, but I actually got this, I think, in a set at Target. Like, it was a Sonia Kashuk set, which, by the way, those are truly amazing. If you're brand new to makeup or like you really don't have a makeup collection, please don't go out to a high-end Ulta or any Sephora and start spending all your money on makeup brushes because drugstore brushes are amazing. And this is what I kind of want to ingrain in your head. The only reason that I have high-end brushes is because they have come with palettes that I've bought at Sephora. I have never gone in and specifically went to go purchase a makeup brush. But truly don't feel like you have to spend a ton of money to get good, reliable brushes. So yeah, back to this one. I think it was just a Sonia Kashuk. It was just one of the brushes that came in it. I really like it. I've had this thing forever. I remember using this back in high school and it's probably time to replace it, but again, I do wash it, I try to wash it at least once a week. So if you honestly take good care of your makeup brushes, they're gonna last quite a while. The only downfall that I'm gonna say about drugstore brushes is, in my personal experience, sometimes they'll kind of like, well, okay, this one's still staying on a little bit, but sometimes they'll just kind of pop off. So, I mean, it doesn't really bother me. I mean, if it's gonna bother you, then you might just want to buy more expensive brushes, but it's whatever. Once it does break, I'll just buy it again. Okay, so the next couple of brushes I'm going to show you actually came in a set, and I apologize because I don't really have a name with this set. I literally just went on Amazon and I typed in makeup brush set, and for a full set, like not every single brush, but pretty much any brush you would ever need, I got for $20. So once again, you don't have to spend a ton of money for good makeup brushes. So the first two I'm going to show you are fan brushes, and actually I just recently got introduced into fan brushes. I always saw them and I'm like, what is that? I was always kind of intimidated by fan brushes, and I'm like, what could you possibly use these for? But we'll go through one by one and I will tell you what I use mine for. So this bigger, fluffier one here, I love it. It's so fluffy. This one I use for highlighting or contouring. This one I found is really, really helpful if you put a little bit of bronzer. What the heck just came off that brush? If you put a little bronzer or your contour powder on and you just kind of, okay, calm down. You just kind of sweep it back and forth right where you would normally contour. So sometimes I would use this, sometimes I would use this. It all just kind of depended on my mood for that specific day. But I used it for contouring and I also used it for highlighting. So if I had a powder highlighter, I'd wiggle it around in that powder highlighter a little bit and then just go ahead and highlight, stop it, go ahead and highlight my cheekbones. So that's what I use fan brushes for. I don't know, to be honest, if that is like the proper way to use a fan brush, but it works for me. This smaller little guy here I typically only use for highlighting. So once again, just like the bigger one I just showed you, just dab a little bit on the brush and just sweep it back and forth on my cheekbones and we're all and we're all highlighted and ready to go. This one here is not super interesting. It's just a flat shader brush, but I do find it really, really useful if I'm putting like an all over color all over my lid. Recently I've been using a pigment from MAC called Naked. I would put like a color tattoo, a bronze color tattoo, and then over that I would put that MAC pigment, and this just helps to sort of pack on the eyeshadow. I don't tend to sweep my eyeshadow. I just feel like you lose a lot of product when you do that, and you don't really get that great of a color payoff. So I find that packing on your shadows just makes the color stand out a little bit more. This next big boy just pretty much looks like a bigger version of what I just showed you, but this is a foundation brush, and I don't use this all the time. You'll notice that it is tinted blue. It is clean. It's just, it was a white brush, and I used blue face paint. So when I do a lot of face painting stuff and I have to cover a large surface of my body, a foundation brush is absolutely fantastic. Since I've started body painting, I don't use this anymore the way that I'm going to tell you now, but before I started using this for body painting, I would just use it for my foundation. So I'd put a little on the back of my hand, kind of wipe it back and forth on my hand, and then put it all over my face, and then I'd go in with my beauty blender and blend it all out. I don't know if I'm just crazy, but I just feel like I got a really, really nice coverage from doing it that way. Two more brushes from that particular like pink handle set. So this little guy, I don't know what you would necessarily call that. I don't really know the technical name for all the brushes, but it's just a tiny little dense brush, and I love using this brush for underneath the eyes. So I don't really put a lot of shadow underneath my eyes anymore. I did today, just because I just sort of felt like it, but I don't typically do it anymore. But when I do, I always reach for this brush because it's a perfect size and a perfect density to really get in there and be able to smoke out your eyeshadow. Last pink handle brush is a spoolie, and you're probably like, okay, it's a spoolie, but this thing is my pride and joy. I love this brush so much. I use it every single day, and I use it for my eyebrows. So when I go to fill in my eyebrows, I just do a little spoolie, I just brush my hair up on my eyebrows, and then I go ahead and fill them in with brow powder. I lost this thing for about a week and a half, and I didn't realize how much I actually really loved it until I lost it, so I am so glad I found you again. Okay, 3 more drugstore brushes, and they're actually all from e.l.f., which is so unbelievably inexpensive. If you're not familiar with e.l.f., I think all the brushes were around $3, so I feel like e.l.f. is a terrific place to start if you're just starting to build up your makeup collection, and I will show you 3 brushes from e.l.f. that I love. First one is not all that interesting, but you can see that it is an e.l.f. brush. I swear, I'm not lying to you, but it is just a big old powder brush, and I use this mostly for my blush. Recently I've been using it to like powder underneath my eyes, just because I'm using a powder right now that I don't really care for, and I usually apply my powder with a sponge or a wedge, but it's just not working out right now. So right now I'm just using this powder brush, and that's why you can see some white powder on it, but it's a fantastic blush brush. I can never say that. The other one I'm going to show you is an angled brush. Now, the pink handle set that I just showed you came with an angled brush, and it was fantastic, but I've had to replace it since because it just started getting, like after using it so many times, it doesn't stay as thin as I like it to, so I felt like it was time to replace it. And again, only $3, so it was not any problem to replace this, but this e.l.f. angled brush is fantastic for filling in my brows. I really don't use angled brushes for anything else besides filling in my brows. I used to use them again to put shadow underneath my eye, but now that I found that other brush, this is just really for brows. I think this is one of my absolute favorite brushes. Out of all the ones that I'm showing you, this is probably my #1 favorite brush, and it is an e.l.f. blending brush. So I did not have like a super fluffy blending brush. Some of the brushes that I'm going to show you next in the high-end part of this video are kind of blending brushes, but you'll see that none of them are super fluffy. So I told myself I am on a hunt to find a cheap fluffy brush, and this thing is a fantastic. I love the way it just blends out my eyeshadow so easily, so fast. It's so fluffy. I love it. Okay, so that was it for all of my drugstore brushes. So let's move into the high end. I only have 4 of them, so. And if I remember, I'll tell you what palette they came from as well. Look at that, convenient. It tells me right on the brush. So this one came from the Naked 2 palette, and for a long time I actually didn't use this brush until I found like better uses for it. Now I use it every day. But it's a duo end brush. So one side is like a flat shader side. It comes to a little bit of a point. But what I use this side all the time for is, I mentioned that color tattoo, so it's kind of like a cream base eyeshadow, so I use this brush to go into that color tattoo, and then I apply it all over my lids. I don't know why, I just felt like this brush in particular, the shape, the size, everything about it was perfect for cream shadows. And it has another side, which is kind of a crease brush, but like I said earlier, how I didn't really have any super duper fluffy brushes, this was one that I was talking about. You can see that it's a little more dense than I would like to, especially if I'm trying to blend out a crease color. I think the side is fantastic if you're, you know, you put like a dark color in your crease and you don't want to blend it out as much. I think this is a fantastic brush for that, but not really so much to blend it all out. The next one I'm going to show you came from the Naked Smoky palette. So one of the newest, or the newest, I don't think they've come out with another Naked yet, from the newest Urban Decay Naked palettes. Again, it is a duo brush, so we have one side which is a fluffy crease brush, but once again, I mean, it's a little bit of a different shape. You can see that it comes up and then it's rounded at the top, so I used to use this all the time to blend out my crease eyeshadow, but again, it's just a little bit too dense. I needed something a little bit fluffier, but I do love this side. Typically, I'll use this brush to apply the crease color, and then I'll go back in with that e.l.f. brush and really blend it out. Alright, after a quick break, believe it or not, my daughter got up and I gave her a bath, and now she's right here playing with the makeup brushes I'm done with. So I think we were talking about this one. I think I finished talking about it. Maybe not. Actually, I don't think we got to this part. If we did, I'll just cut this part out. But anyways, so the second side of this brush is like a small dome brush, and just like the other little one that I showed you that had the pink handle, I really like using this for underneath my eyes for the eyeshadow, but I also really like using it for a cut crease because I can just really get into my crease, and because I wouldn't be blending out much, this really has a nice color payoff when you're using eyeshadows, and I just really love this side of the end of the brush. Two more brushes. This one came from the Urban Decay Vice palette, and I don't really typically use this side. It's once again a flat shader brush, but it has a little more volume than the other one that I showed you. The other one was much flatter, where this one is a flat shader brush, but it definitely has more bristles and a little more fluff to it. This side, however, I really like to use. It's kind of a, but again, it's not like super fluffy, so I like to use it more so on like the outer V. So I'll use small circular motions with this brush. That's kind of how I do my outer V and blend out the color. The very last brush I'm going to show you in my last high-end brush is again from Urban Decay. What's up with my Urban Decay brushes? I didn't know I had that many. But this is the Urban Decay brush that came with the electric palette. Hi, baby. I really like this brush. I more so typically care for this side, which is a super small, little tiny, dense dome brush. I love the side, once again, for underneath the eyes, but I like to do it with eyeshadows that I'm blending up. With eyeshadows that I'm blending up into my eyeliner. I just really typically, why didn't I do the video right here the entire time? I really like this side of the brush. It's awesome. This side of the brush I don't use as often, but once again, it's just a denser crease brush, so it's nice to get up into the crease, again, for colors that... Manners! She's not my kid. I'm kidding, I taught her that. I like to use this brush to apply color to my crease that I know I'm not going to be blending out too much. So those are all the makeup brushes that I typically use on a daily basis. I hope this was a little bit helpful to people, if not just entertaining. Again, if you're looking for new brushes, I would really highly recommend checking out the drugstore brushes, especially if you're new to using makeup brushes. That way I feel like you can buy a lot more and see what you like, see what you don't like, get a nice variety without breaking the bank. So if you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and leave a big old thumbs up. It definitely helps me out a lot. And if you want to be notified about my next video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. And I will see you guys hopefully in my next video. Bye!